the fact that bowling and pool, they exist because of leagues, they exist because of organization, they exist because of competition. You have to have that same level of passion in order to push an arcade, in order to push a game, to push that competition, and that's exactly what events like this here can do. It's exactly what events like this are about. What happens at this event, what gets done here, what scores get made, or what people make a mark, it's gonna go on the internet, it's gonna go into social media. For better or worse, depending how you handle it, you can drive it in your direction. We have another question. I was wondering if you'd speak up real loud.
Just wondering if you were working towards a record.
Is that for me? He's wondering what I'm currently working on right now. No, it's... Well, the fact of the matter is, my youngest is my son. He's 17, he's a junior, and next year he'll go off to college. So without lying and without boring you, my passion is to push and continue to push and support him every way I can, as I have for the past 17 years, along with his two sisters. Two reasons. Number one is because absolutely it's my most favorite thing to do in the world is to chase him around the football field. And he's visiting colleges right now. But not to bore you, there's a little bit of selfishness in me that tells me when my last child goes off to college, it gives me a little bit more screwball time. I'll be able to run off and I'll be able to do some more recreational stuff like this. I'll be able to do it. I'll be able to play more competitively again because I think he's gone away to college. It frees up my time. I don't know if I'm in for a different ride, but the fact of the matter is, once he's into college, then yeah, it is my plan to be able to play more competitively again. And what game's on the front of my mind? Probably Miss PacMan. Because I've held a record and I traded off with friends of mine, and if you're not going to beat your friends, who are you going to beat?
Any more questions?
Okay.
Now this is the guy, after a little girl played the split screen on PacMan very well, along with another guy, he went up there and lost the game for everybody. But go ahead with your question.
Okay. How about, like, the first time you played PacMan or Donkey Kong, did you play, like, phenomenally well? Or, I mean, like, how long from the first time you play it to you get to the point where you're setting world records? I mean, is it like a natural thing, like the very first time you played PacMan, you get to the 10th board, or Donkey Kong, or is it, or do you actually, have to practice on it?
Well, there's nothing natural about it at all. However, my first experience was a little hostile in the fact that I was playing pinball, and I play competitively, and I'm playing, and something new comes out called a video game, and I don't like things that are new, and I don't like change. In case you can't tell by looking at me, I tend to stay the same. But the fact is, everybody was playing video games, and that's where the competition was, and I wasn't getting any competition. So finally, against my will, I turned to video games and began to play. And as I always say, there was this big yellow thing in the middle of the room that I couldn't get around called a PacMan. So I started playing Donkey Kong, and I do remember in Donkey Kong, on the very first game after watching people, my very first game, I did clear the first board without dying. That's my claim to fame. But after I got really good at Donkey Kong and I was convinced there was nobody anywhere that could beat me, and there wasn't, I asked the arcade operator, like I said, where do they have competitions on this? And he goes, I go, there's nobody that can beat me on this. He goes, they don't have competitions on that. And I go, why not? You just had a Tron competition. He goes, well, that's because of the movie. And I go, well, this game's more popular than Tron. He goes, yeah, it is. He says, but it's not like PacMan. And I go, what do you mean? This is Donkey Kong. And he goes, yeah, Donkey Kong's not like PacMan. So out of annoyance and out of anger or vengeance or whatever, I thought, oh, the Hades with this guy. All right, I'll just get the record on PacMan too. And I started playing it, but no, my first game was probably about 3,000 points.
Okay.
Same as you, so that means you can go ahead and get a high score.
Also on PacMan, have you figured out the algorithm for the blue ghost?
Of course, I'm Billy Mitchell. I figured everything out. But the blue ghost, he tends to push in front of you, just like the pink ghost. He'll always go the direction you're pointing, unless he's within 4 spaces of the red guy. Then he'll follow the same directive as the red guy. That's it. You got the secret. Start playing.
How do we know he's not lying?
Come on, somebody be brave and ask a question. Uh-oh.
Billy, are you guys going to come out with another documentary since it's 15 years since the last? It's 15 years since.
Well, there's one that we tried to play here, but we couldn't get it. It's called Man vs. Snake, and it chronicles a story that began in 1983. And it actually came to an end about 2013 or something? 2012, and it's called Man vs. Snake, and it's at film festivals right now, and we were gonna, woulda, coulda, shoulda shown it here, but we didn't, but Man vs. Snake, and yeah, it'll be out real soon.
But 30 years later, you got a much different story, and you still have an audience. Just saying.
I agree.
Hey, Billy. So Whitney and I have seen you at a lot of shows, and we've seen Walter. And Brian,
I'm sorry, sir, this gentleman was first.
I've got the mic. And we've seen Walter at a lot of shows, and Brian, unfortunately, we haven't seen you. We've not been at shows where you've been at, but I've seen Billy and I've seen Walter. Anybody that comes up, this is an off-the-wall question. You all go out of your way to shake hands and signatures and make everybody just feel at home. So, weird question, what is the strangest thing that someone has brought up to you and said, hey, can I get your signature on this? I mean, I've seen the marquees, I've seen the posters. What do you, keep it clean, there's kids.
I've been requested to sign body parts,
And you're just gonna leave it at that?
and the answer was no.
Oh, okay. We're not going there. Walter? Oh, no, Brian.
Yeah, I'd have to say I got a very similar request as Billy too. That's what's on the list of the most unusual autograph requests.
Walter? I don't think
He's gonna plead
No
the
one's
fifth.
asked me to sign body parts, so.
Well, we would like to get something signed that we can use as a giveaway at a future show. Mr. Roberts. Billy, would you please sign our canned ham?
Well, I know Walter's not gonna sign that.
We would appreciate it. We'll use it down the road at another show.
I heard of a publicity stunt before.
Canned ham?
Brookdale's premium cooked ham. Water added. You could at least say hot sauce added.
We can put some hot sauce on it.
That is a little different, Brent. Brent, yeah. Autographing a can of ham, that is kind of different.
But I'll tell you, when I was in Japan, it was very strange because everybody knew why I was there because of the publicity that ran wild about the perfect score. And it was only a little over a month, less than 2 months since I had done it. And the fact is, everywhere I went, I guess part of Japanese customs, they were giving me gifts and they were asking me to sign stuff. I had guys that were in dress shirts and said, will you sign my shirt? One guy had me sign his actual suit coat. Somebody had me sign a bathrobe. And it's very different. Somebody gives you a business card, you don't take the card like we do and go, oh. You take it and you read the entire card right in front of them. You say thank you, and you put it in your wallet where it has meaning, and it's important, and you want to hang on to it. It's just a gesture of respect, and fortunately, I was taught that before I went, otherwise I wouldn't have known. But while I was there, when the interpreter came in the room, the assistant to the CEO came in the room. He spoke English as well as me. He had worked in the US many years and he was very Americanized. And he came in the room and he says, "Ah, Mr. Mitchell." And he took his business card and he winged it across a long table at me, or landed right in front of me, and I pulled mine up. And it went right in front of him. And the guy who was working there was all scared and he left the room. And he goes, "I thought you guys were ready to fight," or something like that. You know, because it was just so different. But going different customs and having people ask you to sign different things, yeah, it does happen.
That's actually
Okay, next question.
Yeah, this question's for Billy. I actually had two questions. when I was a kid, I was kind of obsessed with the Atari games, SwordQuest games, and they advertised this big giveaway with a crown and a sword and jewels and all that. Were you involved in that competition?
Not at all.
Okay.
Zero.
Second question is not really video game related. I just wanted to know what you think of Donald Trump as president. Honesty.
I'll give you the good and the bad. If I had a problem, if I had a fight, if I had a crisis, I would definitely want Donald Trump on my side. Do I think he has polished edges? Not at all. The bad news is, I don't always like what he says. The good news is, I always know what he says. He doesn't know how to lie. So I can see good and bad in there. I don't really have a definitive opinion either way. I mean, I would be cautious, but I don't know what politician I wouldn't be cautious of. I guess good news is he's not a politician. I like Ben Carson because he wasn't a politician. I like Carolina because she wasn't a politician. I don't really know what to think of politicians. I think I'm always taking a chance. I'm actually not a registered Democrat or Republican. And besides, you'll see Donald Trump, he goes on the campaign trail and he's like this, giving thumbs up. I wish I could meet the guy. I mean, he's got to get a little more extension, you know? He doesn't quite have it right. He's like this. So sooner or later I'll meet up with him. Maybe I'll give him an attitude adjustment. Okay, next question. Somebody be brave.
What was your high score?
A lot of games.
In PacMan.
Almost all threes. 3,333,360. 5 men, 256 boards, every dot, every prize, every blue man. Can't die one time all the way to the end. With that, he leaves the room. Hey, he's gonna go play. That's it, man. He's got the next perfect score.
Back in the old days, did anybody play PacMan? But did anybody play PacMan that they reached the kill screen? Anybody do that?
No. What Beck we talking about?
Yeah, one thing I want to do is, because we always hear, and I love the wise guys, oh, I could do that. Oh, I could do that. Is I want to have a $1,000 prize just for somebody who'll come in and reach the end of the screen. How can you live in the area and not come here and not play the game for $1,000 and reach the end of the screen? Because each time I've put one of these silly bounties out there, not a single person has done it. Not on that game anyway. We've done a lot of bounties, and there's been a couple that people, Dig Dug and Tutankhamun are the records that were broken, but nobody ever did anything on PacMan. Never. Not even close. I've had people claim outrageous scores on Miss PacMan, really good scores, and I wanted to see it, and they came to play it, but they were playing the fast, sped up one. So, all right, who's got the next brave question? Uh-oh, our happy guy.
So, just about every single arcade these days that's not like a arcade seems to be like a kiddie casino these days. And I was wondering if you think that industry will ever crash.
Oh, I give you a slight answer on that. I don't really see that industry as crashing. I see a lot of games made for little kids. We call, fast ticket games. The game's over roughly quickly. They redeem ticket. They get tickets. They redeem them for prizes. That's not going away anywhere quickly. I mean, we've all grown up. We've all seen skee-ball. We've all seen extensions of skee-ball, whether it be whack-a-mole, whether it be any of the 100 games that are engineered today. Yeah, crane machines. I don't really see it going away. I think there's a real audience for it, and I think it's an excellent introduction for the 3-year-olds, the 4-year-olds, the 5-year-olds to video games.
All right, next. Oh boy. That's good, you make them run side to side.
Hey, how's it going? Hey Billy, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but King of Kong movie, it kind of depicts you as being, I mean, I don't want to be too unfavorable about it, but you're kind of like the Vader of video games. How did you feel about your image coming across in the movie? Were you happy with it?
Well, they only put in the good stuff. The bad stuff they edited out because they didn't want to make me look too bad. I always tell people, if you knew the real me, you wouldn't be sitting here. But the fact is, the movie itself that I haven't seen, but I know everything about, I wouldn't change anything about it. It's a lot more fun being the villain, a lot more. It does have a lot of history to it, but it has a lot of Hollywood. And the Hollywood stuff, it's annoying because it's not part of history, but it's cool because it's what makes the film fun. I haven't met anybody who said they didn't enjoy it or they weren't intrigued by it or they weren't interested to one degree or another. So I guess it's a great film, but it's just that, it's a film. And I have a lot of fun with people who get too wrapped up in it. I get, like I say, I'll get some of those nasty emails or even phone calls. I says to one guy on the phone, I go, how old are you? And he said his age, and I go, you actually go to college? And he goes, yeah. And I go, really, you should be an intelligent guy. You think Arnold Schwarzenegger makes a movie, and then he goes out in the street and starts shooting people? I says, really, it's a movie. And he goes, no, it ain't. It ain't a movie, it's a documentary. And I go, it comes from Hollywood, and you're losing sleep over it? So I have a lot of fun with it, depending if I'm in a good mood when I contact the person. But if you take it as far as you want to follow it as historically 100% accurate, you'll get annoyed. But if you enjoy it just as a movie, no, you'd have an endless amount of fun with it. So they want to make a second movie, and they want my help, which I'll help them, but I'm playing hardball because the same guy who directed it is not who I want to direct the second one. So that's why there hasn't been a second one, is because I'm playing hardball. So I guess maybe I have a little bit of an attitude that's negative about the way things happen, but simply because a little bit of dishonesty in it, that's all.
Yeah, it was very it was very bad how they portrayed us as people that we weren't. Myself and Billy were both very misrepresented in the movie. The truth is, we gave the movie directors 100% access to everything you get backstage at a video game contest in a video game competitor's life. The directors had a complete inaccurate view of who I am and who Billy is, and they still went ahead and told a story that was very unlike who each of us are. So it was very frustrating. And even more frustrating was it was called a documentary. I mean, there are thousands of errors in the movie. They didn't document anything. They told a made-up story. And that's where, frustration comes from.
When's the last time anybody watched The King of Kong?
Last
a week,
year.
2 weeks? Well, do you remember the final scene when Billy finally comes in the arcade and he walks behind Steve and Steve turns and says, hey, Billy. And Billy snubs him and walks on by. Well, Billy actually stops and talks, and they have a warm interaction, and then Billy continues onward. The reason that they purposely cut that out to make Billy look like he was snubbing him is because that was the intent of the movie, to have Billy be the villain and Steve be the good guy. So there was tremendous abuse of what actually happened so they could make the story appear as you saw it in the movie. And
yeah, although I missed the historical aspect, again, I wouldn't change it because it was a lot of fun.
I mean, let me tell you this. I told this earlier tonight. There were these film historians who just did an assessment of the 3,000 movies of the last 10 years to decide which were the 30 greatest movies of the last 10 years. And out of those 3,000 movies, The King of Kong was chosen as number 29. So that's a huge number of movies that are very profound, that they considered this more culturally important and artistic than those movies. And here's one last thought. They recorded all the film footage and then all the sound bites for the whole movie. They put it in a database, and then when we decided what the plot of the movie was going to be, they draw out the different sound bites and different bits of film, the people to populate the sequences of events to make the movie go as they made it. And some of those things that they recorded just didn't match up with what really happened. For instance, there's one moment when Billy's at home on the phone, and there was moments he's on the phone, and when I put Billy Mitchell's tape up, and then suddenly the scene sequences, segues over to Billy saying, haha, not even Helen of Troy got more attention. Anybody remember that line? Anyway, he says, not even Helen of Troy got more attention. But what actually happened is the producer of the movie was on the phone with Billy and says, boy, these video game players here are looking at these computer screens like they're looking at their girlfriends. And Billy laughs and says, yes, haha, Helen of Troy never got more attention. So they used an innocuous statement to turn it into an incriminating thing that made everybody in the audience mad at Billy because they thought he was gloating. So maybe I didn't make it clear because you haven't seen the movie lately, but that was an example of how the footage was unfairly positioned to make villains where there weren't really villains, and heroes where maybe there weren't necessarily heroes. Steve's a good guy, Billy's a good guy, but the producers and directors of the film made it become what it became, the story.
But the fact of the matter is, well, those are your words, you said that. Yeah, I did. He said, yeah, these guys are into these games like they're into their girlfriends. And I said, yeah, Helen of Troy never got this much attention. But I said it at a totally different time, you know? And I always have fun. World Record Headquarters, you really think I answer the phone, World Record Headquarters at home? And before you say yes or no, I don't have a home phone. That was just a phone that was there. But it sounded good and it made a great movie.
Okay, so there's one more.
So Brian's on the payphone and he's secretly talking to me and nobody knows and nobody hears, but they're recording him. What do you think, they really bugged the payphone, or do you think they had a microphone on Brian and we were simply cooperating, making a good movie? Which is what we were doing. Again, if you think about it as a movie, it's super cool. And again, 99.9% of the people see the movie, they think it's really cool or they think it's dumb. It's dull or it's exciting, it's intriguing or it's not. But on the fringe of each side, there's that 1/10 of 1%. I get emails, pictures, marriage proposals, I get flowers delivered to me, and on this side, I get death threats, and I get the FBI involved. The world's a wacky place. And I wouldn't change it.
We got time for one question, and then we're going into a DJ'd event, and also we have one special award that we want all of you to join us in honoring someone. But what is your question back there? You're Chris, aren't you?
Ian.
You're Chris.
Ian.
Oh, Ian, I'm sorry.
Chris. I'm Chris now.
Okay, you're Chris now. Yep.
Hey, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, I had a question for both Billy and Walter. And Walter, I had mentioned this to you before, so if you have any more insight, feel free to share it. You know, the golden age of arcades was a very interesting time for the video game industry. And you guys not only participated, but contributed to that in such a big way. And so I wanted to know, at that time, what did you think the future of video games and the industry was going to be?
For me personally, my answer, and then Billy can say something, is I started an arcade as an excuse to be able to play more video games. I loved playing video games so much, and at the age of 32, when I opened up Twin Galaxies, I would stay up to 3 in the morning playing video games right there, shoulder to shoulder, the 16-year-old, because I loved it so much. I had no inkling of what was happening. I like to say that I was in some sort of boat going down a fast-moving river that was just taking me wherever it wanted to take me, and that the forces of that time, meaning the dawn of the video game age, were just moving us all along, and we were just, you know, just cogs in some big machinery, and that the spirit of it all started through me and other people, and the opportunity to be the official scorekeeper and leader of all that stuff just happened automatically. So I can't say that I was even 1/10 intelligent enough to make it happen as much as it happened, and we were nothing more than the vehicles through which it happened. So the golden age and organized video game playing, the birth of esports, was almost like a force of nature, and we were just merely the actors that somehow those forces of nature chose to act out this whole drama on the stage. So that's kind of like a flowery way of putting it, but really that's what it amounted to. It just seemed to happen around us, and we were just part of the show, you know?
Yeah,
Makes sense?
The fact of the matter is, I knew that things had to get organized, just like stupid examples I keep using, like different sports or different near sports, like bowling or pool. And the fact is, we didn't necessarily know where we were running to. We were just running as fast as we can, thinking somehow, some way, we would eventually hit pay dirt and get there. But to say that we had it organized in our mind, every time we thought we did, we ran in the wrong direction. We just got lucky. You, real quick, spit it out before Walter tells you no.
Will you do the world record attempt of Donkey Kong Jr. or Donkey Kong 3?
Well,
I'm sorry, that's enough. Okay,
yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Donkey Kong 3, I have the same opinion as Super PacMan. Donkey Kong Jr., yeah. I've had that world record off and on for many, many years. And I did Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. in one day. And to be honest, I haven't played Donkey Kong Jr. since that day. So I'll have to get back on the horse and start riding again quickly.
Okay, we're now segueing into the next event, but here's the final thing I want to bring everybody's attention on. Jason, could you please come up here? And Mrs. Spindler, could you please come up here? You know, each one of us has the opportunity quite often in our life to do something heroic that benefits society and community and history, and you know, we're all preservationists in a sense in that we're trying to preserve our culture. And we've created a trading card for Jason Spindler here. And Jason is from Mount Vernon, Indiana. And Jason, I guess you can tell the story real fast, because we don't have much time left, but we created a trading card, and here's the award for it. Jason may not be here tomorrow when we hand out some more awards at about noon, but Jason is being given a trading card. He's being honored here at the Expo on behalf of all of us with this custom-made trading card as a gift of respect and appreciation, thanking him for his many years of service to the video game and pinball industry. But the trading card says in a big bold headline, Historic Barn Find. I'm going to present this award to your wife to hold. Will you tell us what that all means and what you did?
Well, I'd been collecting video games for 15 years probably, and one day a guy comes into my office at work and says, there's some old games in a barn, and I said, let's go. You know, immediately we got up and left work, got in a truck, and it's just the worst, oldest, dilapidated shed you could ever imagine, and up on the top, it's a 2-story, I see a computer space. And knowing what it is, I'm like, holy crap, I gotta find this guy. And I'm a member of the KLOV, which is the Killer List of Video Games, and there was a thread on there, and I said, here's a picture. And that probably is the longest thread on the KLOV to date, and probably one of the most popular. And while they're looking at the picture, somebody goes, hey, there's another computer space in that picture. And you look in the back, and there's 2 there. And so I still hadn't found the guy, and of course everybody else is like, well, we'll find him for you. And so I tracked this guy down. He's a young kid, doesn't care about the barn, is getting ready to knock it over with a truck. And so I'm not going to name the price, but let's just say I made a deal for everything in the barn, and there was a lot of old electromechanical stuff in there that had gotten wet and rotted and all that. So the barn was so unsafe, we didn't mess with that, but the computer spaces are fiberglass. So we pulled them out. And long story short, I still have them to this day. I've got one that works and one that doesn't.
So the headline on the card says Historic Barn Find. And so remember, we're all in this together, and everybody contributes in their own way.
Yeah, that's an example of the passion that he has, that everybody has. It's an absolute example.
Yeah, and so what you've done, you know, because, you know, the games are passing through our hands. You know, the games are going to be around 200 or 300 or 400 years from now. By then, there'll maybe 20, 30, 40 owners for each one of them in their history, and you played a role in preserving them for the future posterity to enjoy. So let's give a round of applause for Jason and his family. Thank you very much. So we're done here, and I think that this person will be taking over.
Say hi.
Hello. Y'all gonna stick around and dance?
Yeah, dance.
Okay, this is the dance. This is the post-Billy Mitchell monologue dance.
I kind of shattered because I wasn't sure how it was going to go. know, I did like a triple take. I did like a triple take go back. I would walk away.
Oh.